Well done, Valtteri. You won the 2019 Australian Grand Prix. Great job, bravo.
How about that? Yeah! Thank you, guys.
Well, that's payback from last year, Valtteri.
Indeed. To whom it may concern, you.
Valtteri, no, this is a rebound. Congrats, Toto.
Yeah, top job, Valtteri. Very well done.
Have you ever wondered what the life of a superstar F1 driver looks like? Yeah, it comes with more fame and fortune than most know what to do with. But have you ever thought of what all that could do to a person? Of course not.
Social media is nice in a way. It's nice to keep updated. It's nice to share some bits of your life that, normally people wouldn't see. And it's nice to interact with the fans because there's so much great support there. But there's also the other side.
Well, in a recent and quite dark interview, Finnish F1 racer Valtteri Bottas might have given us all a more in-depth look into the life and struggles of a superstar F1 driver. And trust me, it is much darker than any one of us could have anticipated. This, guys, is what the behind-the-scenes life of an F1 driver is truly like. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. If you know anything about Valtteri Bottas' climb to the top of the F1 circuit, then you'd know that it hasn't been easy for the Finn. Prior to this recent interview, the Alfa Romeo driver has come out several times to talk about the toll that racing in Formula 1 took on his mental health. But none of his past discussions on the topic has quite been like this. This was more than about opening up. This was about making peace with his decisions. This interview took place on the latest season of the Jokileser by Maria Veitola, where Bottas not only opened up his home, but also himself to the Finnish journalist. The 33-year-old revealed that back in 2013, right at the start of his career, he pushed himself to the limits, just so he could stay within FIA's weight regulations. According to Bottas, he pushed himself until he developed an eating disorder. Bottas told Veitola that he trained himself to pain, emotionally and physically, until it became an addiction. He also revealed that while no eating was ever officially diagnosed, he knew that it was definitely there. The Finn racer then took us even deeper into what life at the start of his F1 journey was like, revealing that he would eat only steamed broccoli in between long workouts. While all this was quite a lot to handle, the 33-year-old revealed that he handled it all on his own because he decided to hide his diet choices from his team. He told Veitola that none of it was very healthy, but he felt he had to do it because he wanted to become the best. Bottas also claimed that he did everything his team told him to if it meant that he'd have a higher chance of winning, saying, "If the team says that I have to weigh 68 kilos and I naturally weigh 73 kilos, then they will do everything for that." Carrying more weight, of course, slows racing cars down, so every team preferred their drivers to be as light as possible. While Bottas might not be as tall as other F1 drivers, the Finn is listed at 5'8". He is seemingly naturally bulkier than other drivers, which made things harder for him. Bottas' second year in the Formula 1 circuit, 2014, was even harder than his first. In that season, the minimum weight of cars increased more than the driver weight, forcing bulkier drivers to lose more weight to make up for the increase. It was in that same year that Red Bull driver Daniel Ricciardo was forced by his team to lose about 2 kilos, 4.5 pounds in weight. At the time, Daniel Ricciardo weighed 143 pounds and was 5'10". There was loads of pressure on Formula 1 drivers to keep their weights as low as possible, because their jobs were actually on the line. Nico Hülkenberg, who was about 6 foot tall and weighed 165 pounds, was reportedly not considered for a seat at McLaren due to his size. Yeah, the stakes were actually that high. While already dealing with this, Bottas then faced a tragedy that took a heavy toll on his mental health. In 2015, Jules Bianchi, a former teammate of Bottas, tragically passed away after a horrific crash during the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix, pushing the 33-year-old to seek help from a psychologist to aid him in recovering. According to Bottas, the psychologist's first assessment of him was that he was a robot who only wanted to reach his goal and had no feelings. This shook him up, as you'd expect, because that was his reality. Valtteri Bottas lived his entire life on the racetrack. That could well be the life of every F1 driver out there. As the interview went on, Bottas and Veitola gave Mika Hakkinen, former Finnish F1 driver, a call. They chose to call Hakkinen because not only was he an important background figure in Bottas' career for a long while, but he also had his mental struggles. While Hakkinen was on the show, they discussed the lack of mental support Formula 1 provides for its drivers and how everyone is alone psychologically. Harkonnen then thought back to his time in Formula One and how long it took him to win his first F1 championship. The two-time F1 champion entered the F1 circuit back in 1991 with Team Lotus, but it wasn't until 1997 that he won his first F1 championship. That's basically a 6-year wait for his first title, and as anyone would expect, that drained him mentally. The 54-year-old revealed that during his unsuccessful 6-year run, he was in constant mental battles with himself, always thinking about what he had possibly done wrong. This is basically what Formula One does to its drivers. Well, later in 2021, Bottas spoke with his psychologist as he decided on his future with the sport, before ultimately choosing to leave Mercedes after 5 seasons to join Alfa Romeo. Before his big switch to Alfa Romeo, the Finn revealed that he was going through one of the most challenging periods in his life, because he had no idea what team he'd be racing with. Bottas even opened up about losing his first driver spot to Lewis Hamilton, and how difficult it was for him to accept it, even though the Brit has won a total of 6 F1 titles for Mercedes. While talking to Vetola, Bottas admitted for a driver as competitive as himself, he couldn't easily accept that the Brit was a better driver until his final season with Mercedes. However, before then, his time at Mercedes was extremely draining because he couldn't stop thinking of ways to topple Hamilton. Well, this is all in the past now for the 33-year-old, as he now understands all what he should have done differently, and his move to Alfa Romeo is just the perfect start he needs. If you're a true F1 or Valtteri Bottas fan, then you'd know that the Finn has opened up about his mental health battles and eating disorder several times in the past. In a 2021 podcast, Valtteri Bottas talked about the problems he had with his mental health back in 2014, when he still drove for Williams. In that interview, Bottas revealed that the signing of Felipe Massa in 2014 made his eating disorder much worse because a Brazilian driver weighed less than him, so he became even more obsessed with reducing weight. All this makes you appreciate the progress he's made even more. It has been far from an easy journey for the 33-year-old. Valtteri Bottas' story has opened everyone's eyes to the struggles of racing in Formula One, with some even going as far as tendering apologies to the Alfa Romeo driver. Ted Kravitz, a Formula One reporter and analyst, offered an apology to Bottas after he made some insensitive comments towards the Finn during an interview ahead of the Grand Prix in Bahrain. According to Kravitz, he had previously made a remark about the driver's weight without knowing that he had suffered from a devastating eating disorder. In his apology, the British reporter apologized for any offense that he had done, while applauding Bottas's bravery for coming out and talking about his past. Bottas' struggles make the 2019 FIA weight regulations even more necessary. Before these regulations, the weight of a Formula One car included its driver's weight, which explained why teams preferred lighter drivers. Well, in 2019, the FIA realized how flawed its regulations were, and made certain subtle but huge changes to resolve this situation. The new regulations stated that drivers and their cars must be weighed differently, with the minimum weight of a driver being 176 pounds. But if a driver is below this weight limit for any reason, extra weight will be added to his vehicle in the form of ballasts to increase the driver's weight. A much smarter rule, considering everything F1 drivers go through. Since the establishment of this rule back in 2019, no driver has ever been at a disadvantage, not even the bulkier drivers. Therefore, no one should feel the need to put themselves through awful conditions just to lose weight. It's great news that Valtteri Bottas has put this all behind him because he has one pretty tough season to prepare for. This is a Finn's first season as Alfa Romeo's #1 driver, so he's really got to impress his new team. While it's not been a great start to the 2023 F1 season, with the Finn sitting at 11th position currently in the Formula One standings, it's really never too late to turn it around. Bottas also has his hands in other businesses outside the racetrack, with the 33-year-old on the verge of joining in to purchase Sakimi Ring, a track in southern Finland. Besides that, you might not know this, but the Alfa Romeo driver is also a gin producer. Go Valtteri! Well, that's pretty much it for Valtteri Bottas' untold story of mental health battles and an eating disorder. So what do you guys think about Bottas' early struggles? How big a role do you think Formula One played in Bottas' early struggles? With the 2023 F1 season already in full bloom, how far do you see Bottas and Alfa Romeo going? So let's all turn up the heat on this topic and share our thoughts in the comments section below.